looking for a packed house.
Nobody cares about the budget except you.
Hey, the important ones are here. They just get it on. So we've reconvened open session.
There's an agenda if you want one, Mark.
Number 3, review of conditional use permit application completed by Stone Associates on behalf of the airport, entire airport property. Discussion regarding the same and possible action authorizing town board chairman to sign the application. So I talked to Brandon. Very simply put, go one way and then move forward. Hefkin, the old chairman of the airport commission, the lawyer knew that this had to be done, and he's also, this is just a second, he's also, MSA should have been doing something. Okay, so, having said all that, I'm just telling you what he said.
What is MSA?
It's the village's engineer.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
For
yeah,
whatever reason he said that.
They would review that once it's applied for.
Now, you get the 15, you get the 15-page document. Michelle?
So what was the outcome of your discussion with Brandon?
Did you send it to me? And if you did you send it to the other email?
I don't know.
I haven't checked that. I check it maybe once a day.
Well,
I was just thinking maybe it's on that email.
at any rate,
This is,
that's just a signing page. I get that.
So what was the outcome of?
Well, here's what the situation is. It's exactly what we wanted. It's one conditional use permit for the whole airport for any future operations, etc. So we don't have to get a conditional use permit when Mark decides he wants to build a hangar on the airport. Okay, so we don't have to keep getting them. He would not have to apply. It's covering the airport, what's the plan they call it?
airport layout plan.
Yeah. It's covering that.
So this actually is, I'm pretty sure this actually is the justification. So I'm gonna read this if we got time.
Well, yeah.
Describe how the conditional use is granted if it will be consistent with the purpose and intent of the zoning code and will not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare. Answer: the conditional use permit will make the existing use of the airport compliant with the village zoning code, and the airport is a conditional use within the PI district, but the existing airport currently does not have an approved conditional use permit. No changes to public health, safety, or welfare will occur because the permit will formalize the existing use as well as approve an orderly build out of future hangars and taxi lanes consistent with the airport layout plan approved by the Wisconsin Bureau of Aeronautics and Federal Aviation Administration. That was probably Jacob.
Okay.
Describe how the conditional use, if granted, will not be hazardous, harmful, or otherwise adverse to the environment or to the reasonable use and value of nearby properties or the community in general. Answer: the conditional use will not be harmful to nearby properties, as it will be permitting the existing and historic use of the parcels. The future build out of hangars will not adverse any surrounding parcels. Further, stormwater treatment was recently constructed on the airport property for all existing impervious areas and future impervious areas as shown on the airport layout plan. The treatment basins will infiltrate stormwater and contain a 100-year rainfall event with the airport property. Describe how the conditional use, if granted, will be compatible with the existing uses and structures upon surrounding properties and will not impede the normal and orderly development of or improvement of other properties or uses within the district. If granted, the permit will just formalize the existing use. The applicant is seeking a conditional use permit for future build out of hangars and taxi lanes as shown on the VOA FAA approved ALP, specifically for the purpose of orderly development for future aviation infrastructure on the airport property. Describe how the conditional use, if granted, will be designed and operated in a manner which minimizes adverse effects, visual impacts on the surrounding properties and the community as a whole. Answer: the conditional use, if granted, will formalize the existing structures and use on the airport. A permit for the planned and orderly build out of future improvements will not adversely affect surrounding surrounding parcels. The orderly parcels will have direct view of, the only parcels that will have direct view of the future build-out areas are industrial facilities that stay in process.
I wasn't sure if it was closed.
Future hangars and taxi lanes on the airport-owned property will not adversely affect these industrial facilities. Next question, describe how the conditional use, if granted, provides adequate means of ingress and egress so as to minimize traffic congestion to the public streets and will not cause any significant traffic problems. Ingress and egress already exists for the airport and has not posed an issue in the decades it has been in its current location. Traffic coming and going from the airport will very minimally increase as additional hangars are built. This minimal increase will be almost imperceptible to traffic on Highway 106. Next question, describe the conditional use if granted, how the conditional use if granted has or makes provisions for adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary site improvements. Answer, the airport already has adequate facilities, utilities, access roads, and drainage. The future improvement areas already have adequate access, roads, drainage, and stormwater treatment. Describe how the conditional use if granted will be consistent with the village's comprehensive plan for the area in which it is located. The village's comprehensive plan shows the airport as an airport in the PI district. This permit application is to formalize the airport's existing conditions and to allow for streamlined construction of future hangars by not requiring each individual hangar to go through the conditional use permit process. Granting the permit, the planned orderly build out of future hangars will also save the village considerable staff and plan commission time in the future. So that, along with the form, does indeed concur with what you were told, which is that they're applying for the CUP for the future, current and future build out.
The 20-year plan.
Whatever it is,
And that's exactly what we want.
Why is this needed?
The existing airport, the airport is an existing non-conforming use. Which
This
means
is just catching up with something that wasn't done before.
well, the airport existed when the annexation happened. The annexation incorporated it and zoned it at the request of the town and the surrounding property owners as exclusive A1A to meet with the farm portion of the airport. Last year it was rezoned to public and institutional land, which matches more closely the use rather than A. However, there is no legal airport use within any zoning district within the village. So it needs a conditional use, meaning they can more regulate the use of the airport. There's two options. One is, first off, by doing a conditional use permit, it solidifies that something new could happen. If you have an existing non-conforming house, let's say it's built too close to a property line, you can't do anything with it until you get a conditional use permit. Then you could put on an addition, right? And saying, hey, I'm still too close to this lot line, but I'm going the other direction. So the conditional use permit allows the airport to change. The change could be done in one of two ways. One, in bulk, as they've stated, here's our 20-year plan, approve this so we can build within all the boxes that are laid out. Or they could say, approve it as it is today, and every time that something changes, we have to come back for a new conditional use
Yeah, I
permit.
remember that.
So,
What happens if we wouldn't sign it? Just play devil's advocate.
they can't apply for it because the landowner has to apply for the conditional use permit.
So what effect does it have if it's not signed by the town?
The T-hanger cannot be built.
Not advocating, I'm just wanting to understand the whole thing.
Yep.
Does
Nothing else can be built.
does this in any way impact the discussion,
The detachment,
right? Does this in any way impact it if we sign this?
It would allow the T-hanger to start construction while all the rest of that is being sorted out. Otherwise, the T-hanger is on hold.
And we want the T-area to be built because it's just gonna go up in cost, and more delays, the more higher the cost is, right?
Proven over time already. ultimately, if we file detachment for detachment, and if they approve the detachment, this essentially just goes away altogether. Like, it doesn't matter anymore because we'd be back in the town, we'd be under county zoning, the village zoning ordinance doesn't have anything to say about any of it. So it's at the best case scenario, a temporary crutch to get the TV.
And not signing would in no way assist us if we chose to go that route. Like, not signing would have no bearing on, okay, I learned what I need to learn. Motion?
Well, I'll make a motion. It's all right.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit application for the entire airport property. And would state that please allow the chair to sign the form.
I second the
Motion has been made. A second. Any further discussion?
I request a roll call vote.
Kaliowski,
Aye.
Martins,
Aye.
Slaughter.
Aye.
I have just one quick question because I came in. You said there were two different things with the conditional use. And one was encompassing forever, it sounded like, and one was just temporary. Which one are we talking about now?
The whole thing.
The 20-year plan.
Okay, got it. Okay.
The 20-year layout plan, not forever, because if the airport commission 12 years from now, 2 days and 11 months from now, doesn't matter when, if they petition to change the ALP, the airport layout plan, to something different than what it currently is, that would then have to go back for a new conditional use permit if it is different than the current one. Meaning, let's say they're going to put in another road, they're going to plan at some point to put in a 80th, 90th, and 123rd row of hangars.
Mhm.
That would have to go back through a conditional use permit if it's still in the village. I just spilled my
Why
water.
don't you give that to me here? I'm just gonna get the signing out of the way, because we got things to do tomorrow. I'll have to give it to Al. After we're done with signing this. I'm not, what gets me is I'm not the owner.
No, you're the owner's authorized representative. You get extra pay.
No extra pay.
Well, 280.
Should I put today's date? I suppose, huh? Yeah, we won't wanna make it before today's date, will we? Chad, what is it, the 16th?
16.
Obviously, we can copy all this, after the meeting. I'll take it out. Number 4. Discussion and possible direction to authorize an agreement with R.R. Walton of Whitewater to make necessary repairs to the dry hydrant near the intersection of Highway 59 and Wetensky Road for a sum not to exceed $3,000. Again, one of the two Walton boys, Russ or Ross, got a hold of me and stated that they don't think it would cost $3,000. They figure less, but we put $3,000 maximum. If it costs more than that, we're going to eat that and donate to the fire department or the town, I should say.
I make a motion to authorize an agreement with R.R. Walton of Whitewater to make necessary repairs to the city dry hydrant. To the dry hydrant near the intersection of Highway 59 and Wetensky Road for a sum not to exceed $3,000.
Motion's been made to accept the $3,000 bid from R.R. Walton of Whitewater to fix the dry hydrant near the intersection of Highway 59 and Wetensky Road. And I forgot the second, but I'll second. Okay. Any further discussion?
The only thing I'm going to say is that this is a requirement of the fire service contract with the village, is to have it operational. So we could choose a different contractor, but it still has to be fixed. So
The only question I have just popped in my head after I made the motion. Is there any requirement that this type of action needs to be bid?
what is that, it's a dollar figure, 10, 25,000, is it?
Anything over $25,000 has to be publicly bid.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Buying all the pizzas after, Okay, now we're gonna go to the 2025 budget planning workshop discussion, possible direction regarding the same.
So, fun and excitement with budgeting. I'm gonna,
You can kill that light back there, though, so that they're on the TV. Perfect, thanks.
so in the grand scheme of all that's fun and even here, in between our closed session and looking for this guy, so I just want to do something else. 362, so we're just gonna do something. Okay, it works.
Great.
So, this is the levy limit worksheet live and in action. So, essentially what it says is between last year and this year, I can go back, but we had the sheet last time. It takes our levy last year minus debt service plus, it takes our levy from last year plus net new construction, okay, and gives us a new levy amount that we can levy for property tax. This is essentially, I'm going to call it page 2, but I think it's actually, that might be page 2. All of these, if you notice, are all 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, except for the one that I got highlighted blue. If you look at last year's, I have it from last week. If you look at last year's levy limit worksheet, sorry for the crease, on the page that I'm looking at, there's a 51,800.
I'm sorry, I need to look at this.
Well, see you tomorrow.
All zeros as well.
It's all zeros except for one number, which is
1,884.
Yeah, 51,884 is our debt service payment for this year. Okay, so if we were to have another 51,884 next year, the fancy little round number that I plugged in, yeah, you can see it, that I plugged in here that's highlighted blue. Okay, if I take that out, delete it, the spreadsheet or this worksheet calculates 362,239. Okay, if we had a debt service payment, we would simply add in, and let's say 150.
Which we will, right?
We will. Okay, 153, 8, whatever the hell we just said. Whatever, doesn't matter, because this number is mildly fictitious at the moment. It adjusts what the levy amount is. It puts the total adjustments on the bottom and it adds it to $362,000 number from the top. So I'm going to delete that at the moment.
What did you find out as far as that payment?
She hasn't responded yet.
That's the unfortunate part.
That's disgruntled.
Should we go sit up there?
I'm sorry, what did you say? Oh,
Should we go sit up there?
And, you know,
who is this if you're talking about?
First citizen
A person
statement.
with a bank.
oh, is it gone? Are we, no? Do they understand the urgency?
Yes, they do.
So, admittedly, I'm gonna fall on the sword for the time being. The email that I crafted to Michelle last week at probably way too late in the night, I made a math error and I included $50,000. It said if we were to draw X amount in 2024, and then between January and June 30th of 2025, we drew the remaining, which I typoed at 383 instead of 333. What would the payment be in 25 and then in 26? She replied back and said, there's an error in your math, blah, 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 blah. Michelle sent it to me and I said, yep, there definitely is one. So we replied back to her. And so her reply was not what your debt payment is going to be if you draw X amount in 24. It was, there's a math error.
So they did reply, and now
having to re-look at it.
Reply. So, unfortunately, contrary to what I said last Wednesday, we're gonna need one more meeting. Because tonight, we can't put in what the debt service payment is, because we don't know. Which means we can't finalize what our levy exceedance request is gonna be, because we don't know what the debt service payment is gonna be. Which means we gotta have another meeting, because we can't pot shot what we're gonna do. Unfortunately.
You wanna pick a day right now for it?
But we can talk about 3 other things to get us,
Right, sir.
right? If you want to.
Well,
If you want to.
if we would have borrowed a 600, it was 186,000 a year for 4 years. And for the sake of this meeting, can we put in a guesstimation figure of 140,000, 145,000 the first year in there? 100
It's got a crease in it, I know it's mine.
Can we put like 150,000 in there as an estimate, just to see approximately where we might be?
How do you? Yeah, 100%.
I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be that or a little more. So,
So,
it gives us something to look at, okay?
so from the fun and actuality standpoint, we are at 512. Also, we have
Now, I will say this to the two of you. 2 years ago, our levy was 474, 478.
474, and this would turn into 512.
It's not that much different than what we were doing 2 years ago. We got rid of 90-some thousand out of debt service. Because there was two of them.
So it's 8%.
And then 50's gone. And then we got rid of that. We're gonna fill it back up.
Were you looking for a flasher?
If you think 2 years ago. It was okay then to borrow 700.
No, this is my town.
It's your,
This is the town of Palmyra.
I'm sure you appreciate it.
What about the mill rate? Did we figure, did we
No,
do that?
nothing.
We need
That's
to
a
number
difference.
then.
That's a different.
Okay.
All that affects is that damn tax issue, but we're gonna battle that.
Sorry.
The numbers man should never have to say these stories, because you're doing a lot of work.
Let's see.
I can't believe it. 3 days, I almost called the doctor to be. He's a little.
Stress.
Feels like an anesthesia.
Well, I'll agree with that. Yeah,
Not too much.
come on now, we're being recorded here.
Alright, so, current town taxes, this would have been for 2023. The mill rate then was $2.06 per thousand. If we go up, this isn't really going to be how this works out, but the next thing we need to do is to do the levy limit to mill rate conversion fees. $2.23. So you're going to go up, let's say 16.5 cents per thousand.
On the 512 listed there right now.
if that's what the levy was. Times, let's just do it this way. Be potentially a $50 tax increase on a $300,000 house.
$50?
Now, what I can tell you is that it isn't really going to work out that way, because last year we had a net new construction number, which means the value of the community went up. And this year we had another 2.0676% net new construction, so the value went up. So the value of the tax that we would collect versus the value of the community, our tax, we know what we're saying is 8% higher. I don't remember what the net new construction was last year, but we're 2.6% of that right now. So it's really a 6% net increase, if you follow what I'm saying. The overall community goes up, and if you match and you match, it's fine. But if you go up 8% on one, but you're going up 2.6% of the value, the increase is really going to be at 6. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking at last year we were looking at
borrowing $233,000.
$200, the mill rate would go up. How the hell is that? Did I do this right? Oh my God.
Well, if we had borrowed $250,000 last year, it was actually $233 to $38. The tax on.
Oh shit, that's because I don't have the 133 in there. Or 120. Sorry.
Well, yeah, you don't, but.
So that's why this is. So remember, we put in 150 for borrowing, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that we would have to put in to this spreadsheet is increase in.
Well, we were looking at, we were about $125,000 where we'd have to increase the levy. I don't know what the levy is. To get Little Prairie Road finished, not Little Prairie, excuse me, Palmyra Road finished. Which we got part of the money there from us from this road construction loan, and part of the money coming in is a grant. 32 or 80 or whatever thousand that is from the government. We awarded us that for all right and paving out there.
This shows 121.
Yeah.
Which I think is the right number. I think you're raising your eyebrows at that 67 number.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, let's go back through this. Somebody want to be nice?
You can turn the light on.
Can anybody, if I do this, oops, not that. If I do this, can somebody read those numbers off as we're going down the line? Starting at the top of revenues.
On 2025.
Yeah.
Dog license, 525.
Yep.
437, 942.
Stop.
For general property tax.
87 minus. So, in part of my cleanup of this, proceeds from that service was settled on.
Question, is there gonna be an option to go to one more training? Only with me.
So we need
Tuesday the 5th.
There we go. 120. What's your number on top?
437.
No, sorry, the yellow one.
121, 299.
Okay, we're back where we were. Good. Pause. All right, so let me explain what Josh did. God damn, is it hot in here? Or is
Yes, it is.
What?
We may
I
have to
haven't
put
touched much to
We
say.
might have to put in the thermostats.
Is
Okay.
it back up to
Seriously.
76, did it bounce back up?
I don't think so.
Cause I lowered it about 68.
No, but it's at 70. You're on the wrong side of 70. I thought it was 60.
It moved, cause I moved it to 68, so it did something on its own there. It like ghosted this one. Stupid.
Great,
I'm not saying another word.
they're haunted mice.
Don't you dare say that.
Alright, so what I did since the last meeting was kind of continue to update some things, clean up some things, and the reason why I knew exactly where to go is down at the bottom. At the last meeting that we had, I think 3 different principal payments itemized on the expense side. One said public lands, one said Little Prairie something, and one said whatever.
Loan public lands, loan Little Prairie Road loan payment, loan interest public lands, loan Little Prairie Road interest, 4 of them.
So you got rid of some.
So what I did is I condensed those to say debt service principal and debt service interest, these 2 lines right under where we're at. So it was referencing cells that didn't have any numbers in them anymore, which is why, because it's taking the debt service payment out of that levy limit and then puts it all back in. So
it's easier to read this.
and ultimately, that's what it is. Like, we don't have, although we do have multiple, have had multiple debt service, the account is the account. They took all of those said 58 100, 58 100, 58 100, 58 100-1-1, right? It was the same account. They just itemized it so you could see which one was for what. So, we're back to where we were, more or less, and the reason why it is off is that this past week I've corresponded with Michelle. If you notice on the spreadsheet that's on the screen, all of the hot pink stuff except for the levy limit, general property tax, is all gone because her and I have worked through. So we've got the general property tax levy and the debt service principal payment, which whether it's principal or principal and interest, it really doesn't matter. For
Well, that's
our
not
purposes.
right.
So it's 75. That would be based off of this 266 number. If we borrow $116,720 between now and the end of the year, we would get a total 266 out of that 600,000 that we allocated or approved, whatever
Yeah.
authorized. That payment was going to be 186,000
If we borrow it all.
if we borrowed 600. Yes, so using kind of that not quite half prorated piece of the puzzle. 266. Let's go through that one more time. Let's just pick one. So 2. What's my number?
236.
266. 720. 266, 720 for 4 years at 6.2% interest. Means that your annual payment is 14,833.03 plus 60, 627, 93, 75, 460, 96, 75, 460, 96, 75, 460.
Now, hold on, I don't agree with that. Why am I not agreeing? Because if you do borrow 600, I mean, it's 150,000 a year in principal. Now, I realize we're not borrowing 600. But hell, it's gonna be